Hello and welcome to Capital V Voice, a masterclass from Terra Prilo Studio. We are calibrating together here, and we're going to continue to calibrate. I'm going to run down, I should say who I am first. I'm Terra Prilo. I'm your resident Black, biracial, multi-passionate musician. I talk about the ish that nobody wants to talk about and push you to do the same. Those people that are here with me live, please feel free to use the chat liberally as you feel inclined to, or if you have something to add or say, please feel free to raise your hand. We'll hear the ding and come to you as soon as I can. And I am working on sharing my screen, which Google is not very happy with me right now. But there we go. Now we should have it. Yay. Yay. Okay. Perfecto. Perfecto. Okay, y'all. So we have the capital V voice, which I've introduced. And I just realized that I didn't put with Terra Prilo Studio on here. What in the heck and Bob? You having a problem here? Why we go backwards? Oh, y'all got a glimpse of the slide deck. Okay. Y'all know, those of you that have been here, that we've been doing agreements at the beginning of these calls. If you cannot make these agreements, you should leave now and or stop listening until you can come into agreement and alignment with these. All right. Your voice doesn't need permission to matter. Your voice doesn't need permission to matter. And capital V voice is expansive, not refined. We're not trying to put things in a box. We're not trying to say that things are the correct way. We are expanding, not contracting in this case. If you can make those agreements, let us continue. Let us. I'm getting some hearts in the chat from Dr. Flo, and I believe that means that he agrees. Not in the chat, I guess on the screen, that y'all can't see that are watching the recording. All right. And he says, I agree in the chat. Love that. Okay. In wholeness, we're going to talk about wholeness today. It's like Dr. Flo is foreshadowing or something. It's probably because I talk to him a lot. And if you want to be in peer support and or coaching sessions with any of the Love in Action coaches, you can check all that out at lovedandlovable.bio.link, lovedandlovable.bio.link, or you can go to my website and you can chitter chat with me and I will get you pointed in the right direction as well. All right, we're going to start with expression reflections. Now, I had originally labeled this capital V voice reflections, right? And every single one of these had the words like voice. So you can replace it with what feels good, but I wanted to use the word expression because for me, the capital V voice is not just speaking. It's not just like what is coming out of my mouth right now. It can be written. It can be singing. It can be just like sound, you know, like not actual words. Could be a vocalese. It could be body language. It can be dancing. It's an expression, right? Your capital V voice is an expression primarily through art, but also in other ways, right? So the first question here, and those of you that are old Clubhouse folks that have known me for a long time know I used to host this room that was called like Vocal Confidence or Confidently Vocal or something. And the first question that we would ask people when they came to the stage was, what do you love about your voice? So in this case, and you can do this in the chat, you can do this in the comment section, or you can do it in your own journal, notes app, whatever feels good to you. What do you love about your expression? What do you love about the way that you express or your voice, or both? What words describe your natural expression? So if you had to take everything away, every performance aspect, everything that you're talking about, everything you're feeling into, like what is the most natural thing? The thing you don't feel like you're adding something on because society told you to, or the pressures of social media, or your friends, your family, your coaches? What is your most natural expression? Where do you feel the most free to express? Where do you feel the most free to express? I personally feel very free to express inside of trusted circles, right? Not necessarily large groups of people, but definitely close. I'm gonna come to that, Ryan. I'm gonna come back for that comment. I see you. Um, and so the clubhouse rooms, like those are usually like, somewhere between 5 and 15 people. And then I also feel very comfortable in my stories. I feel very comfortable in DMs. I feel very comfortable in one-to-one relationships and settings, as opposed to like 1 to 500. So that's where I feel the most comfortable expressing and most free to express. Where does my expression feel most silenced? Ooh. Oh no, it says when. But you could do that for all 5 of the W's. Y'all, where does my expression feel most silenced? When does it feel most silenced? How does my expression feel most silenced? Why? And who? Right? For me, my voice and expression feel very silenced when I am in spaces that are not open to any kind of radicalization or any kind of real, true conversation, any kind of space that refuses to acknowledge the harms that are present in society is not a place that I feel open to expressing, right? It is a place that I feel purposefully silenced. When I am with a bunch of, this is very particular, but I'm going to be 100% real. I feel very silenced in rooms full of white men. Like, they are some of the most condescending and the most silencing people. And they will talk over you. Wow, wearing mommy's underwear. That is a cool role. My child just walked in and has underwear and a vest from mommy's closet. So there's that. All right, I'm going to come get these from the comment section. We do have an accompanist in the background. I do have my noise canceling on, so hopefully it's not too bad. But y'all let me know if it's bad. I'm coming to the comment section. Somehow, some way, I'm coming to the comment section. All right. Yeah, Ryan, I see that last, or the second to last one. I feel most silenced in the presence of men. Yeah, 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 yes. That's what Miss Rachel says. Piper's been watching a lot of Miss Rachel lately, so I have Miss Rachel on the brain. And so Ryan says, yeah, that too. Closed-minded spaces make me uncomfortable. Yep. I feel that. I'm just going to read what Ryan said in the chat. I actually don't like my speaking voice, but I love my written voice because I strive for rawness and I'm an advocate for not tone policing Black people. Yeah, we're pro-Black in this space. I feel free to express in written format only. Okay. These are good realizations. These are very good. Very, very good. Okay. We're continuing on. We're going to hold those. We're going to hold all the answers and we're going to keep going. So what the heck is it, Tara? What the heck is it? What's the capital V voice? Nobody in here sounds like that. That's just like what that's it. Okay, we're talking about capital V voice. So that is the voice that like runs through my head when I come up with a masterclass idea. Or I'm like, ooh, I could have taught that. Like the little voice in my head goes like, well, what the fuck is that? This rating just went up to 18 plus. Okay. Anyway, so the capital V voice, for me, again, back to the beginning, encompasses all types of expression and all type of voices. So it is not just speaking, it is not just singing, it is not just actual like sound. It is truly the ways in which we express ourselves. We get that out of our bodies, right? So another way we can think about this is bringing in all of the aspects, and I hope this makes sense. Y'all let me know. All of the aspects of ourselves, right? All of the aspects of ourselves into whatever medium we're using. So, like I said, I don't think that the capital V voice is a specific medium. I think that it is various mediums that all tell the same through line, that all tell the same story, that all take the same stance. So like Ryan said in the chat, right? Like being an advocate for let me get the words right. Let me scroll back up. I'm an advocate, I had the word right, for not tone policing Black people, right? Like that stance is present through whatever medium Ryan is using. So it's a story, it's a stance, it's a statement, it's an experience produced in many, many different mediums, right? Because, and Ryan said they don't like their speaking voice, but it could be in the speaking voice, right? It could be in the singing voice. It could be in the written voice. And for me, my singing, spoken, and written voice are all like very much aligned. They all tell the same story. They all tell the same stance. And to go, Ryan used the word tone in terms of tone policing, but even to bring that in, like the way in which I speak, write, and sing, the tone is very similar, right? Like the emotional vibration of that is very similar, right? And you see this in like, particularly in Clubhouse spaces, but in spaces that we meet each other with voice first, or even with writing first, in my experience, you kind of find out the vibe of the people you're talking to really quick, right? And that is because all of the capital V voice, if a person is aligned, and you can tell when a person is not aligned, right? Very quickly, it transfers. It's because it's the story, the stance, right? And the tone. The story, the stance, and the tone. I'm moving on because I don't see any questions, and I don't think I saw anything in the chat. All right. See, Flowskis said wholeness earlier, and y'all know, so Dr. Flo and I, and those of you that have watched the previous masterclasses, which I have not posted yet, so none of you have watched them, except if you were in attendance of them. But Dr. Flo and I work very closely together, which any of you all that are on the interwebs and follow both of us, or even just follow me, know that we are closely aligned, and we also help each other run our businesses, and we are also coaches to each other. And so therefore, things that we talk about inside of Love and Action Network and peer support spaces and coaching spaces tend to pour over into what I am teaching on Fridays. So wholeness is a concept. We say wholeness every single morning to everyone in the Clubhouse room, right? That is the entrance. You walk in the room, wholeness. Wholeness, Angela Pangela. Wholeness, Ryan. Wholeness, Dr. Flo. Right? Wholeness, Nisi. Nisi often says wholeness, family. Right? So there was no way we were going to talk about the capital V voice, which again is the combination of things that we've lived, right? And the way that we spread those, right? Without talking about wholeness. So I'll talk about wholeness, and then I will talk about aligning with the overflow, which I've touched on. I feel like I've touched on the overflow principle in various masterclasses over the years. But wholeness means that we're not fragmenting ourselves. We're not, again, back to the expansion, right? We talked about expansion at the very beginning in an agreement. We're not taking a part of ourselves and putting it in a box and presenting it, right? We're not doing that. We're not separating from a particular part of ourselves. We are maintaining and bringing the fragments together so as to shine the light brighter, right? So as it says, the next little part, you bring all parts of your identity into the room, right? So this is like when actors say to me, like, oh, I just don't know how to act this part. Or when singers say that. I just had a singer say this to me the other day. I just don't know how to act this interlude. And I said, well, what are you talking about beforehand? Who are you talking to? What are you feeling? And they told me, and I was like, well, that is it. And you got to bring it from your experience. You can't just drop your experience because the piano is playing, right? So it's maintaining all of that wholeness, even if you're singing something or speaking something or writing something or reading something or whatever that is not written by you. You bring your experience to the room. You bring your wholeness to the room. You bring your broken parts and your comfortable parts. You bring your sass and your truth, right? You bring all of it. You bring your wholeness to the room. Okay. And then of overflow, obviously this makes sense. Um, you're not taking from the principle. That's how Dr. Flo describes it. You're not taking from the cup, right? Your cup is full. And if you keep filling your cup, where'd you get that? Don't break it. You keep you keep filling the cup and the cup overflows, right? We all know this. We've all done this. You're not paying attention and you overflow it, right? So overflow means that you're no longer straining or grasping and that your voice flows outward, right? That capital V voice flows outward, naturally, abundant, and unstoppable. That first, not the first one, but the reflection prompts, right? Had a question in there about how naturally the flow is, right? Of your capital V voice. So we want to be in alignment with our wholeness. We are one, right? And then alignment with our overflow. We are not necessarily giving from this principle because have y'all ever seen Sailor Moon? This is going to be so random. But there's a part in Sailor Moon where the crystal, um, where you're welcome, Ryan. We have she has like this crystal and she gets hit by something and the crystal like shatters, but it's like the saving thing of the earth. Okay. And so then like she uses all of her power and she squishes the crystal together and then it emits this brilliant light, right? But the crystal is not breaking. It's whole and it releases light. So we must come into the alignment with our wholeness and then it explodes, right? Let there be light. Let there be light. That's what God said, right? I don't know. There's a church person in the room. Don't tell me if I got that quote wrong or right. All right, I've got more reflection prompts for y'all. Dr. Flo says I am correct. Um, uh, so, and I don't know why I made these so small, y'all. I just did. And this goes back to the wholeness and the overflow and the body language, right? The way in which we exist. What story does my voice or expression tell before I even open my mouth to explain it? Right? You make a very simple statement, you sing a song, you write down a paragraph, right? What story does it tell without the further context and explanation? Yeah. Whose stories live inside my sound or my writing? Family, teachers, ancestors, cultures, communities. And this doesn't mean that it's all bad, right? There are things that I carry with me that I learned from people that I was so young when it was told to me. Or, don't sing, train, sing free is a good one that lives in both my spoken, in all three, in my written, my spoken, and my singing voice. Don't sing, train, sing free. My daddy told me that when I was 18. I changed it today because I didn't want to put the negative forward, but sing free, not trained. Sing free, not trained. Write free, not trained. Right? There are various things that John Lewis said that I carry with me as an ancestor, right? Yeah, there's just so much. Communities, we already talked about one, right? Wholeness. That's a story that lives in me, right? And that's from Love and Action at Work. So whose stories live inside your sound? What contradictions or tensions show up in your expression? Do you silence them or do you let them out? And if you let them out, how do you do that? When has your expression told a story that you didn't intend? Yeah. When has your expression told a story that you didn't intend? I can tell you one particular to language. One time I was making I was like talking in my stories. I'll never forget this. And Flo, you know the person that said this to me. I was sitting there talking to my story. I was talking some social justice, pro-Black stuff, and I said the word they instead of we for Black people. And this person came into my DMs and was like, "Girl, you Black too. Why are you using the word they?" And I was like, "Whoops." But that was a story that I didn't intend. And Flo knows who it was. Flo knows exactly who it was. But it was just like, okay, like I didn't intend that. I was just blabbering, and then yeah. Anyway, like she interpreted it as me rejecting my Blackness, which is very funny to me now. But anyway, we're continuing on. What did others hear in me that I didn't know was there? The eternal one that gets told in the clubhouse rooms all the time is Dr. Flo calling me a force, right? I knew I was strong. I knew I was smart. I knew I could figure shit out. But I don't think until really the last like year or so that I really started to believe in the force that I am. Right. So that's a good one to answer. If my voice could narrate my life in one sentence, what would it say today? What would it say today? Flo's laughing in the chat. And Ryan said, she knew you ain't mean that. Right? Like I was like, girl. But I was like so embarrassed. Like I remember my reaction to it. And I was like, oh my God, like I messed up. I'm not the perfect biracial. Everybody's gonna hate me. Anyway, whatever. I told you all earlier that LIA influences a lot of this, and my relationship with Dr. Flo influences a lot of this. And of course, I have my own experience that I'm bringing, and I'm speaking to you all with my capital V voice today. But this is a concept that Papi Wada, I think, introduced to Love in Action Network, which is healing 10 generations back and 10 generations forward. And I would add to that today the 10 people around me, right? At least 10 people around me. So when we talk about the capital V voice, we're talking about channeling those 10 generations back, our ancestors are present right now, the 10 voices that make up your brain, whatever, and the 10 generations into the future, your legacy. What is your legacy saying about you? What is the legacy of expression? What is the legacy of your capital V voice? And Dr. Flo used to talk about this more often than he does now, but he used to talk about how, he can't go back and look at what his great granddaddy was doing. Right? But Dr. Flo's great grandniece would be able to. Right? That making sense? So we want to both know that that's there and also use it to inform our present, right? Like I talk about this often in terms of like, okay, I'll say it. When you listen to Black activists speak, in particular, I am thinking outside of the churchy variety, but MLK had his own speech model. Malcolm X had another one. John Lewis had another one. But you can see the through line in those people, right? And then also Native Americans, when they speak, there is a very particular cadence, right? Like you almost, like, I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but because I listen to a lot of people and I engage with a lot of different voices, there is a very specific cadence that even if a person doesn't look Native American, you can kind of tell they are because it exists in the voice, right? It exists in the way that they're delivering the experience and delivering the expression. And so it's channeling, it's allowing that all to come through, right? At one time. It's allowing all of that to come through, the developments that are in the future, the present building, and the past influences that are coming. And I think those do exist in the body. We talk about that an awful lot. We talk about how that stuff exists in the body. Okay. We're doing good on time, y'all. I'm going to talk about Miss Nina Simone. I'm pretty sure everybody in the room knows who Nina Simone is. And if you're watching this later and you don't know uh, who Nina Simone is, I'm just gonna tell you to go listen to some recordings. Okay, because like, what are you doing? But I think Nina is a really great statement on the capital V voice, right? We talked earlier about the tone, we talked about the story, and we talked about the stance. Those are the three things. And I'm sure the people in the room right now can call to mind ways in which Nina was using her capital V voice. The one that always comes up with me for me is Strange Fruit. Also, the way that she sang was often, it was very, very speech-like. Like there was not a very different, a large difference between Nina's speaking voice and Nina's singing voice, right? Like, it's a style of music too, but like that's the way that it was, you know what I mean? She also, I mean, her music is activism, right? Oh yeah, so Strange Fruit is one for me, and then Mississippi Goddamn. Like, talk about a stance, right? Um, she also marched, right? That was an expression of the capital V voice. She made a lot of people angry, child. Their reaction, right? That unique, we already talked about it, but that unique way of singing, her piano playing, even, right? And like, we know this too about, you know, there are voices that you hear and you're like immediately, oh, that's Nina. Oh, that's Ella. Oh, that's Whitney. Oh, that's Mariah. You know, oh, for me, like when I listen to opera singers, like I know when it's Jesse Norman or Leontine Price. Okay, okay, okay. But the difference here for me between like a Nina Simone there and a Whitney Houston and um even a Jesse Norman, right? Is that Nina had a stance. Like not only did she have tone and told us her story, but she also had a stance. Now, if I was going to use an opera singer example, the opera singer that I would use as an example for this is Marian Anderson. That is a voice you can instantaneously recognize, right? It is a voice that carries with it a story, and she is a speaker that took a stance, right? So these are the people. The next slide is going to ask who else can you think of. So I'll give you a moment. Oh no, it's not. I'm asking that on this slide, I guess. I thought I put it on the next slide, Joe. Ryan says my singing voice is similar, but do you guys have any other examples of people that you can think of that had a story? We all have stories, child. That's like the easiest one to take into. A stance and a tone. Y'all got any examples that you can think of? I'll give you a minute. Also, while I think of like men, I'm trying to think of men that did that. Screaming Jay Hawkins. Yeah. 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 For sure. The question is, what other people can you think of that have a capital V voice? Voices that we recognize instantaneously. They have a story. Everybody has a story. They've taken a stance. And also they have a tone, right? Yeah. Yeah. And it flows through all of their business, right? James Baldwin, Maya Angelou. Yes. Yes, yes. Toni Morrison, yeah. For sure James Baldwin though. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like James Baldwin. Yeah, 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 yeah. I would say the lady that runs Black Liturgies, Cole Arthur Riley, like that's a living example, right? Um who else would I say? I would add Joyce DiDonato to this list. We're talking Black people, but Joyce DiDonato has a story, child. And if you don't know her story, it's that she wasn't picked until she was in her 50s. And for an opera singer, that's like a deathbed. You know, she believes in the facilitation. She believes in making sure things are accessible to people. So she has a story, she has a stance, and she has a voice, right? A tone that we instantaneously recognize. And my argument is that that instantaneous recognition of tone is mostly possible by the allowance of the expression and the wholeness of the expression and the overflow of the expression of the other two, right? Of the story and the stance. Then we get the tone. This story and this stance come from the inner work. Yeah? We got to do that. And then we get to do the thing that comes out the door, right? We get to do the thing that gets written down. We get to do the thing that speaks out. We get to do the thing that sings out. We get to do the thing that dances out. Because we've come into wholeness and alignment with our story and our stance. And many of you, Dr. Flo especially, but many of you that may or may not watch this later have watched me come into those alignments, have watched me come into even more of my wholeness, right? Have watched me embody, which has then adjusted and made a difference to my tone, right? My tone was recognizable before, but now it's capital V, right? Okay. Some parting words. Your capital V voice, again, all of the things, all of the mediums, is your instrument. Your voice is your lineage. Your voice is your stance. Use it. Like we talked about in the clubhouse room this morning, we cannot quiet down. Not now. In whatever medium you choose to use it. And this has been a production of Terra Priolo Studios from the McClendon Foundation. This has been Capital V Voice with Terra Priolo Studio. I will pause for some questions before turning the recording off. I'll check the chat. And if you want to come off mute, you are welcome to at this time. We've got about 8 minutes left in the space. And if there are no questions, I'll shut it down, child. But I'll give it a minute. I give it a minute. I should have loaded some hold music. In the middle of the night, I've been wondering. Okay. I'm trusting that there's no questions. I'm going to turn off the recording. Those of you watching this later and those of you in the call, if you're interested in next week's, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but it will be at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. It'll be about 45 minutes long, as tonight's was. And I also have a bunch of free stuff available on Fridays. I have maybe one spot open in the studio for the right person. And I also have async lessons, blackening the canon. I'm going to have an album coming out, all of these things. So catch up with me on my Substack, lifteveryvoice.substack.com, or my social Mishas. And you can also follow Love in Action Network and join us daily at 11 a.m. Eastern on Clubhouse. All right. Well, thank you for being here. Continue to be anti-racist, be safe, wear a mask, make good trouble, do good work. I love y'all hardcore. You are loved and lovable, and ain't nobody can change that, not even you. Joy, yes, joy is our revolution. Step into it, belong to it, and walk in it today. And I will see you all next week. Toodles.